Hey guys, Andrew Esquivel here, back with another review, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Winter Outfitters Nylon Camping Hammock. As you can see, I have the hammock already set up and connected to two trees in my front yard. The trees are a good distance away from each other, which makes this particular setup rather versatile. To give you a good idea of just how far apart the trees can be when using this hammock, I've got my tape measure all the way from the tree over there to the tree over here. And with a little bit of approximation, we've got about 22 feet of distance between these two trees. And as you can see, the hammock works just fine. In fact, there is much more distance you can get out of this particular setup. Let's talk about how this hammock connects to the trees. As you can see, we've got this flat piece of material that wraps around and then goes through the hole, and that connects to this nylon braided string. Now, this nylon braided string connects to the carabiner on each end of the hammock. If you want to adjust this setup to be more taut, you just make another knot wherever you feel is appropriate and adjust the position of the carabiner accordingly. Now, as you can see, I've decided to tighten this up a little bit, and that's on this end. If we go all the way across right here, you can see that I've actually tightened it up quite a bit. We've got a few extra feet of distance we can get on this thing. Now, if I wanted it to sit lower to the ground, which I have done, I can adjust that. It'll just dip down on the curve a little bit lower, but I like to have it a little bit elevated. So that's how I've currently got it. Now, each of these straps, say right here, and although this is upside down, that supports 250 pounds. Now, the claim on this hammock is that it supports 500 pounds total. I don't know if you can necessarily get away with saying that you can double the weight capacity just because there's two of these. I can't comment on the physics of that particularly, but what I can say is that I am 330 pounds. That's why I chose this hammock, because it's got a rating for a payload rating way higher than what I am. I've undone the little strap that kind of wraps around this, and as you'll see right here, the bag that holds the hammock, nice and compact like, is physically attached to the hammock, so the probability of losing it is pretty slim. There's a separate bag specifically for the tree straps, and those come undone as easily as you can imagine and just get placed in here. Okay, so what I'm doing is giving you a dual view perspective of how you get in and out of this thing. Now, obviously, it's a hammock, you know how to get in and out. That being said, I want to show you that it can indeed hold someone even of my weight, 330 pounds. That's the number to keep in mind. Doing this one-handed, by the way, a little awkward. I've kind of got to get my hammock feet, so to speak. So, although I'm sure that looked rather awkward, it's not that hard to get in the hammock. Getting out, there's a little trick to that. But let's talk about actually laying down in it. It's actually really comfortable. Now, there is a number of things to go over. So, if we look outside, you can see that I'm kind of clamshelling this hammock together. And although there's no system to keep it clamshell shut, which I think there should be, I think that'd be a really good idea to prevent things like leaves and stuff falling on you. Or if you want to kind of slightly weatherproof yourself. I think that'd be a pretty neat system. However, let's talk about the comfortability. So laying down in the hammock, there's one thing that you got to know. It wants to clamshell you shut. If you are thinking about using this for two people, it's probably not going to work just because of the way the design of a hammock is. You sit down, it kind of creases It kind of folds in on the crease of where your body line is as you go through. And yeah, it sits really, really taut. So your shoulders are kind of like forced towards each other in this particular setup. Now, another thing to know about this hammock is the material itself. It is not insulative in the slightest. So if there's a strong breeze, the material does get cold, and if the sun is beating down on it, it does get rather toasty. If you plan on using this in any inclement weather, you might want to think about other options. I don't know if I would use this in the rain. I don't think this material is waterproof. It might be water resistant up to a certain point. That's not part of this test. It is made of nylon, and based on what I know about nylon, if you compare nylon to something like Gore-Tex, usually nylon is a little resistant, but not really proof against water. Now, there's other parts to this setup, like, okay, how about my feet? Well, the way this is designed is that the center of your back kind of sits down in the middle, so your legs are put in an upward tilt, so your legs are raised up. And when it does that, it is comfortable for a while, but you may notice that the clamshelling of your legs causes the heels of your feet to become a little bit fatigued due to the position. Now, you can kind of finagle your way around, and you might find a particular position that works well for you. I'm currently still experimenting with this, and I've determined that you can comfortably lay in this for quite some time. I've tried laying in this for about half an hour to an hour, and I would say that my experience has been pretty positive. You just kind of got to feng shui your body in a particular way that works for you. Some experimenting will be required. To get out of the hammock, simply grab the center area, pull yourself to one side, rotating 90 degrees, and you'll actually make a relatively nice and comfortable swing. Next, you want to try and tilt as much weight onto one side. That way the hammock will try and flip you out, and then just proceed from there. One thing that's unfortunately common with a lot of camping gear is that the bag that it comes in is rather hard to get things back into. I found this to be the case with a few of my tents. That being said, I am very happy to report that it is not hard to get this thing back into the bag that is itself attached to the hammock. It fits in pretty easily, so you don't have to worry about finding a substitute bag in case you can't origami it back in place. It will get in rather easily. I've had the hammock for a few days now, and between myself and a few friends of mine that are also relatively sizable gentlemen, we've come to a similar conclusion. The hammock is really comfortable. It sets up really easily. It works really well. One of my friends had actually never used a hammock before, and based on what he thinks, he liked it. And I gotta say, I like it too. I think it'll hold up pretty well. You'll notice it's flapping about in the wind. The little plastic clips on the bag that it goes in can be wrapped around the hammock and then snap shut, so that way it doesn't turn into a giant parachute. But overall, I paid $27 for it, and it met every expectation that was advertised of it. So for that reason, I'm going to declare this product a recommended buy. If you like this video, leave a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, consider subscribing.